understand who the fuck I am on this US land. I let my hair grow, then I cut it off. Put a couple lines in it, cause you know I'm never coming soft. I do a lot of shows and I get a lot of stares. I got a lot of haters, but really who cares?
Well, I don't do as many shows as I used to, but the most important show in my life right now is this show right here. Welcome to Mitch, please. Everybody, thank you for giving us a click. I'm sure I still have some haters out there, I would hope. Because if you don't have haters, then you're not doing your job right. So a shout out to everyone that's listening right now. It's going to be a jam-packed show. I got a great show for you. I got Synn, the one and only the Knightmare, the monster Synn. He's going to be here. What a great guy, I gotta tell you. I mean, he's a big, mean, nasty, violent man in that wrestling ring, but you know what, Synn as a guy, as a person, man, what an awesome guy. And he came all the way to Orville, California, all the way to the PCW work farm to sit down in the ring with me and have this conversation, and it was a great conversation, and really, I hope you guys are going to really dig it as much as I did. But I want to talk about last night as I record this. Last night was UFC 200. It's got to be considered the biggest UFC event of all time. And the reason why is, I'm just going to say it right now, is because Brock Lesnar was on the show. I mean, that guy, from what I'm reading this morning, he got paid more money last night than anybody in the history of mixed martial arts. I want to get more into Lesnar later. I want to talk about the entire event here briefly. First thing I saw that really stood out was during the Fight Pass prelims, Diego Sanchez and Joe Lazone, if I'm saying that right. Diego's just been getting smashed lately. It's been tough. He's been a great fighter over the years, but he got smashed by Joe Lazone, and that was the first thing I noticed. I didn't catch too many of the prelims. I saw the girl fight, looks like Zing Ano and Pena here, and it went to decision, and it was a pretty good fight. I noticed too, the canvas was yellow, and it was just a dumb move by the UFC, I thought, in Dana White. Why make your canvas bright yellow? You saw a lot of fighters intelligently take advantage of that and wear yellow shorts and yellow gear out to the octagon, because it's just a bad decision to put that kind of color out there. It's hard to see, it makes everything more difficult. I don't know what the motive was behind that, but I thought that was a really stupid thing of Dana White. One of the many stupid things that Dana White does. But going forward here, the show started, the fight card started with Velasquez and Brown. I'm not a big Cain Velasquez fan at all. I really want to see him get smashed, but I know he's a great fighter, and he proved it, and he took out Travis Brown, which I believe Travis Brown is Ronda Rousey's boyfriend, is what a friend was telling me. So that was what it was. Whatever. I think, especially after seeing tonight, I think the next fight for Velasquez, and hopefully if Brock's going to fight again, that needs to be the fight. I would love to see that. But going forward again, briefly here, guys. Aldo and Edgar went at it. It went all 5 rounds, and Jose Aldo, by decision here, was the new interim featherweight champion. Didn't really care too much for that fight. I didn't care too much for Cormier and Silva. It was cool to see Silva get the reaction he did, and those guys, just, you could tell that just wasn't, they weren't really fighting to, they're just, the intensity just didn't seem to be there, and I don't know, it's hard to say. It seemed like they were just kind of rolling around with each other, just getting a payday, if I can say that. And Cormier won by decision. And then here we go. A fight that, is 4.5 years in the making. You got to look at this like one of the greatest moments in the history of mixed martial arts. I know I'm very biased when I say this, but you got Brock Lesnar returning to the UFC. He's under contract. They're airing WWE commercials throughout the event, SummerSlam 2K16, and I'm just like, I'm sitting back just laughing, just like, this is the greatest thing to happen for wrestling, to get this kind of recognition on the biggest event in mixed martial arts history, and the majority of the show, it's pro wrestling based, and I would have liked to seen a little more. I would have liked to see Paul Heyman come out there, but for the most part, Brock did his thing, man. He came out, Enter Sandman. He, with his team, he looked great. He looked the best I've ever seen him physically, and Mark Hunt, man, hey, you got to give it to Mark Hunt because, he did land some shots on Brock, a couple, nothing too significant, but he hung in there. Brock was a beast, man. He proved it again. There was no nerves. Brock stepped in there and was more confident than I've ever seen him, and just, like I said, looked amazing, and just performed amazingly. He took Mark down 4 or 5 times, hammering his head, hammering his face, and props to Mark Hunt, Mike's brother, Mark Hunt, for staying in there and taking the pounding, because that's what he did. And then by unanimous decision, your winner, Brock Lesnar. And great speech after by Brock too. Really kind of speaking something that everyone could really kind of relate to, and it was a really it was a nice message from Brock, and that's something you really haven't seen him do. So overall, and Sable looked great, by the way. Overall, I was intense. I was standing up the whole time, just going crazy. Hanging out with my buddy GDD. I mean, we grilled everything. We had turkey burgers, we had steak, we had chicken, we had hot dogs, macaroni and cheese. There was garlic bread. I mean, we went all out. It's always a great night with GDD, my best friend, and his favorite fighter is Miesha Tate, and of course that was the main event. Was Miesha Tate and Amanda Nunes, which I didn't really agree with. I don't think those girls were at a main event level, to be honest. Not that women wouldn't. I think if Ronda and Tate were in the main event, absolutely. But Amanda Nunes wasn't as well known, but she became well known after that fight with Miesha. I mean, she took her out by submission in the first round, and is the new UFC Women's Champion. And I'll tell you what, that women's division is obviously the most competitive division in the UFC, because the last 4 women's championship fights, I believe, the last 3, you've had a new champ. You've went from Rondi to Holly to Miesha, now to Amanda. So, 4 women's champions since November. I'll always remember Ronda Rousey's last fight because it was the last match I had the same night. So so much props, much love to all the fighters and all the athletes that they did pour it out there, and it was a great event overall. Dana White still sucks, but no, I'm really excited to see what they do with Brock. And next month you got Conor McGregor and Diaz number 2, and then the following month you have CM Punk making his debut, hopefully. So I mean, it's an exciting time in the UFC. They've got a lot of interesting stuff brewing. And all right, guys, I'm gonna wrap that up right there. I'm gonna go ahead and let's get this interview with Synn going, guys. We got a lot to talk about with Synn. I'm going to get him back on the show. I got to say, man, me and Synn almost locked up and had a match outside, because after we had done the interview, Synn started telling me about all this stuff he did with Tommy Dreamer, and I really wish we could have got that on the show, but we'll definitely have Synn back on the show. So I think you guys will enjoy what we talk about, and let's get right to it. So I'm sitting here sweating in a ring that I've actually slept in with my guest this week on Mitch Please. He is a current BTW and East Bay Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champion. He's currently the number 1 contender for the PCW Heavyweight Wrestling Championship this Saturday at Pandemonium. He is the Knightmare, Synn. What's going on, Synn?
What's up? I like how you said we slept in this ring together. You forgot to say that we slept at opposite sides, and there was 2 other people here, and yeah, that was a good night.
It was a great night, bro. We always have great nights, dude. Every time we've hung out, man, you're one of the guys that I've met in this wrestling business the last decade that I liked right away, and I always had a great time with, and you're always real. I mean, your shirt right now, man, it says no egos, no fakes, no bullshit, and that couldn't describe you better, Synn. I mean, how you doing today, bro? What's on the mind today?
It's hot as hell in here, but I'm good, man. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. you know what I mean, and with the wrestling and life in general, and everything is good. I have really nothing to complain about.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm excited for you, bro, because this is, I believe, your first PCW main event at the Municipal Auditorium going on this Saturday. And I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about your story, but I just want to touch on this because it's what's happening this Saturday, and it's a big deal. I mean, is it a big deal for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the biggest deal. You know, I've worked my ass off for years to get to where I'm at right now, and, you know, it's all going to come to a head this Saturday. I finally get my shot. You know, I've been here at PCW for going on 2 years now, and I've worked my way from the bottom all the way to main eventing. It's a big fucking deal.
Yeah, no. I remember your first show, man. It was the last show I promoted in Chico. It was off the chain and off the wall. You showed up. You weren't even really booked. You showed up for a battle royal, I think, and you said, "Hey, man, thank you very much for having me on the show." And I was like, this guy's a monster. And I met you before that. I met you at Gold Rush training. It was like January 2014, and we were training with like Dylan Drake and Zack, and I remember meeting you then, and I was kind of blown away because we were actually working together. And I was hip tossing you, and you were taking. I mean, you're a great athlete, bro, for your size. I mean, it was pretty impressive. But going back to you're starting PCW was at that Chico show, and then transitioned into now. And I remember, man, when I left and I was the champion, and I was telling everybody, even while I was the champion, I said, Synn's the guy that should beat me for this title. And then when I vacated the title, I said, Synn's the guy that should win this title. I was very, very vocal about that. You remember that?
Oh, yeah, I remember. Definitely, you're one of the many people that, you know, that forced the hand that put me over, you know, and definitely I've never had anything bad to say about you. Me and you have always gotten along ever since that first day we met. And, yeah, definitely, it was a big deal for you to have that faith in me to be a main event guy here. Well,
bro, you come out here and the crowd just goes crazy and you kill people. I mean, it's great to watch. It's great to see, man. But I want to go back in the good old days. I mean, how was it growing up for you, man? What inspired you at an early age?
Growing up in Tacoma, Washington was kind of rough. I mean, you have, you know, certain paths that you could take, but then, you know, certain things that are given to you aren't given to other people. And when I say, you know, opportunities and all that, you know, I don't sit there and say, oh, you know, I wasn't ever given shit, so I didn't have shit. It was one of those, I dealt with every situation that I was in. And a lot of the shit that I got into was my own fault, you know, but at the same time, I didn't see any other way to do certain things, you know, and wow, that's really loud.
We got a dog barking, we got a Mustang. That's how it goes on this show, man. I mean, it's live, it's one take, and we always are dealing with outside noises and stuff. I mean, that's just how we roll here, man. But yeah, no, you grew up in Tacoma, Washington. You dealt with a lot of stuff. I mean, I remember you haven't really opened up about a lot of that stuff. I don't really know the whole story, but I mean, at an early age, man, as a teenager, I mean, what were kind of the things you were involved with? Was it sports? Was it outside out activities? I mean, what was going on?
I actually moved from Tacoma to here to get away from gangs and all that. I moved to California to get away from gangs. I thought that's funny. And yeah, I got into football and wrestling pretty young in high school, but then I found women and, you know, other certain
women are beautiful. I just want to say,
women
for the
are
record,
wonderful.
Women are incredible. Shout out to all the women out there.
Shout out to all the women that let us do what we do to them. You know, I mean, you got to be a good person to have somebody get naked and flop around on top of you like a dying fish, and then still try to tell them that they did a good job. You know, that's shout out to all the women. Shout out.
But so yeah, man, no doubt. And so growing up, so you moved to California. I mean, how old were you when you moved to California?
13.
So you're
14.
So early teenager. So I mean, did you play football, Synn? I mean, you look like you played football.
Yeah, I did for my freshman year and halfway through sophomore. But like I said, I found boobies. And you know, we like boobies and where I'm from. And,
I'm more of a butt guy.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm with you. So I mean, when did you start noticing or discovering professional wrestling?
I actually discovered professional wrestling when I was about 5, and then I saw it on what was it, NBC or CBS or something like that. I don't really remember. It was WWF at the time, and then as I got older, you know, my mom got remarried, and my stepbrother had these old VHSs of, you know, NWA. So he would always play them for me, and then the one that really stuck home was Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard in the cage, and for the United States title. I think it was Starrcade, and that was like the greatest thing ever. You know, Blanchard's got full color, and fucking Magnum TA is about to stab him with the freaking piece of a broken wooden chair, you know, and I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever, and I was hooked ever since then.
Gotcha, man. So, I mean, old school fan. I mean, that had been late 80s.
Yeah.
NWA. So, I mean, I gotcha. I mean, who were some of your favorite guys? I mean, growing up, and did you ever get out of it? Were you always into wrestling, and then transitioning, if you can answer that for me, and then how did you get started and getting in the ring for the first time?
Oh yeah, I mean, once that happened, I got the bug, and I knew that everything that I wanted to do in my life had to do something with wrestling, and I was gonna figure out a way, because we didn't have internet back then. You know, I didn't know any wrestling schools around, and so I knew I wanted to do something with wrestling. I didn't care what it was, and so I just had to, you know, wait and find the right opportunity and have everything come in, you know, and then finally, and when I was 17, this is not a good way to go. I don't recommend it for anybody. I'm really dead set on that. But a couple of guys in my school, they had a backyard fed, you know, and they were doing everything in the backyard, and they're like, hey, come through, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, holy shit, this is the greatest thing ever. It wasn't, obviously, but it, you know, for kids.
Where was this at?
This was in San Bruno, California. And then so we started just fucking around in the backyard, and it was, you know, doing the crazy shit. You know, a lot of the shit you see me do now is really tame compared to what we were doing. And you just got a whole bunch of kids who are untrained. You know, we thought we were doing the greatest shit ever. You know, you watch some of the videos now, you're like, what the fuck was I thinking? You know, and
I can only imagine, man, because I'm sure you were probably much bigger than a lot of these guys. I mean, you're a big guy. What are you seeing, like 6'2", 300?
I'm a strong 6'3" and 3/4, depending on my boots, or depending on what liquor store I'm walking into. You know, I like to call myself 6'4". You know, a soft 6'4", and 348 right now. Yeah, I'm cutting it down now.
So back then, I mean, you're obviously a standout to all these guys, you know, messing around in the backyard. You're probably you're the big show, man. You're the big guy of the group, and so the good thing is you get to throw everybody around. Not a lot of people will be throwing you around, so you didn't inquire in too many injuries, did you, when you started back then?
No, you know, just cuts and bruises and shit like that. I got a couple concussions.
Yeah.
You know, but other than that, nothing big. I mean, prior to, I don't know, 6 months ago, my worst injuries I'd gotten in my life came from slow pitch softball. You know, I dislocated my couple fingers, tore my hamstring, and all playing softball.
Slow pitch softball. It's more dangerous than you think.
It really it's not a game, people. This shit is real.
So man, so you're 17, you're messing around in the backyard out there, and then when did you like discover a wrestling school, and what was that, and who was training you?
Well, I remember Beyond the Mat came out right around then too, and so I kept sending emails trying to get Roland Alexander to answer me, and they never responded. You know, I did an essay, and every time I did an essay, because they always wanted an essay then, and he just never responded to me. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just keep doing this backyard shit. And then that, you know, fast forward 10 years, with some time off, I got into some trouble and everything, but fast forward 10 years, I'm still doing backyard wrestling, and did a show for a company run by a guy named Icebox.
Yeah.
And a couple guys from Big Time Wrestling were there. And, you know, they liked my gimmick. And I think that was the big thing, was I was a big dude and I had a workable gimmick, you know. And they said, you know, we like your gimmick, but you need training. You know, we just happen to have a school, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you come down? I was like, well, shit, yeah. You know, I was
It was
there.
like 2009, 2010?
It was 2011.
2011.
Yeah, 2011. I walked into the BTW ring, and you know the rest is history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who was training?
At the time, Jason Styles.
Cool, man. Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't believe I've got a chance to meet him, but I've heard a lot of great things about his training. I mean, how was your training experience there?
You know, I suffered a lot as far as being handicapped by my size. You know, I'm not the most athletic person in the world, and I wasn't then either, and I was actually worse then. And but no, he worked around it and made sure I knew how to do things right and keep myself safe and utilize my size and the athleticism that I do have, and really fine-tune, you know, my basic mechanics as far as being a wrestler of my size.
Definitely. So it's 2011. You're down there in BTW. They're training. They're a well-respected company. Been around for, I think longer than APW, and so real respected company. What are you noticing in the scene? I mean, are you starting to work some shows? Who are some of the guys that are you're starting to notice as someone you could learn from or picking their brain?
At the time, I was really sheltered at BTW, and I only did BTW shows, and you know, and then but I would see other people from other feds come over and do their shtick, and it's like, oh wow, you know, blah blah blah. But at the time, there was a lot of trash talking going back and forth. So, you know,
No, not in NorCal wrestling.
not at all. You know, and but yeah.
And by trash talk, because I just want to make this clear, by trash talk you mean, so somebody would say something to you or to somebody else, but they wouldn't say it to the actual person that they were talking about. That's what I've noticed, man. It pisses me off, Synn. I mean, you sparked a fire here, man, because I really hate people that they will trash somebody, right? They'll trash them maybe online or maybe to somebody else, but then when you see that person, they got nothing to say. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh yeah, you know, and you find that in all walks of life, but I feel that in wrestling there's a lot of that, you know, and you know, to each their own. Everybody has an ego, everybody's testosterone driven, everybody, you know, thinks their shit don't stink, and you know, it's true, you know, and you don't have to like somebody, you don't have to respect them, and that's your right as a human being, but at the same time it's kind of like, you know, you kind of make yourself look bad if you don't say it to their face. Exactly. You know,
this business is built on respect, man. Everybody respects each other to a degree, but like you said, of course there's egos, man. If you don't have an ego, I don't think you're not going to be successful in the wrestling business if you don't believe in yourself and have an ego, because that's what this business is about. Hey, look at me,
right?
You know, so no, I hear you, but I mean, who are some of the guys that you were really learning from and really kind of working with and looking at somebody as you know, someone that you really, like I say, you were learning from and having a good time with?
Well, I learned every time I stepped in the ring, you know, and regardless of who I was working with, you know, because everybody learns differently. Everybody had a different, you know, set of moves and style of doing things. So every time I was in the ring with somebody, that's how I would learn.
Who made you better?
Who made me better? Honestly, wow, that's kind of a hard one.
Yeah, it's a tough question, so Mitch, please.
It's not a hard question to answer. It's more of at a time. So, you know, I came here to PCW, you know, and I showed up to the work farm and, you know, did the workouts with them. And Zack, you know, he's a stickler for details, you know what I mean? And so I learned a lot from him, you know, and then, you know, did a workout with Ezekiel Jackson down in Redwood City and learned a lot from him. I worked with Tommy Dreamer last month, you know what I mean? Learned a lot from him, and so it was just like, you know, like I said, I'm a sponge. So,
but those first few, sorry to cut you off, man, but those first few years of training at BTW in 2011, 2012, 2013, I met you in January 2014. I mean, what were some of the, early on, those first couple years, I mean, what were some of your best memories, or like I said, some of the guys that you were working with that brought out the best in you?
Well, I mean, Tony Vargas always brought the best in me. You know, his and my natural chemistry together is just, you know, second to none. You know, it's one of those things, we don't have to talk about anything. We don't have to go over anything. We just know we're going to get in there and work. And that brought out the improv side of my abilities.
When did you guys meet?
We met when I first showed up at BTW, because he was already a student there. He was already in it a year. And then I had left BTW at one point and then ventured outwards, you know, and it brought me here. It brought me to Gold Rush. It brought me to Fighting Spirit. I know you love them.
They love me, actually.
Oh, they do, man. They definitely love you. You are on their Christmas list.
So, no, I got to say, though, man, because that Tony Vargas thing is huge, man. It's huge to have somebody. I was talking with Drake Nelson about this last week on the show. It's huge to have somebody that you kind of come up with and you can train with and talk with and watch footage with and eat with and drink with and talk the business with. So, I mean, that's huge. Yeah, you and Tony, man, there's no doubt you guys have that chemistry and have that bond. I've seen it. And so then you ventured into Gold Rush Pro Wrestling. That was where I met you. Mm-hmm. What brought that in?
That was one of those things. I had it's run in Pacifica. I was living in South San Francisco at the time, and which is literally right over the hill from Pacifica. And I asked Sparky, I was like, "Hey, you need any extra guys on your squad?" And he's like, "Well, you know what? Come through to a workout. You know, come work out or what is it?
Pro camp.
Pro camp. There you go. Yo, come do the pro camp, and then you know we'll go from there." And I was like, "Okay." And then so I showed up at the pro camp, and I remember seeing a whole bunch of people that I didn't know, and I was so nervous. I was like, "Fuck, dude, this is damn, dude. I don't want to shit the bed. You know, all these guys are in super shape. I'm, you know, a fat motherfucker, whatever." And I was like, "Fuck, I'm not gonna be able to go." And then, you know, Dylan's style of doing things is just so awesome that, you know, he's constantly repetition until you get it, and then when you do get it, keep going, you know. And I learned a lot.
Dylan Drake,
yeah, and I definitely learned a lot from him, you know. And Rick Luxury, you know, he was there too, and he goes through everything with a fine-tooth comb, you know. And it was just that learning how to break everything down piece by piece, you know what I mean. And that's where. So when you say, you know, who did you learn the most from? It's like I learned a whole bunch of different shit from a whole bunch of different people, and it was all awesome. It was all big to me. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, when we got paired up and they had us doing, you know, 50 million fucking hip tossing, and I'm like, motherfucker, I'm a smoker. This is bullshit. All right, fuck it, let's go one more. And then, you know, 10 more later, both of us are over there like, fuck. I'm like, you a smoker? He's like, no, you're just a big motherfucker. I was like, all right, this is true.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And one thing that stood out about you too, Synn, you know, was when I met you that day, and then I didn't see you for a few months. A few months later, it was actually in Reading at our friends FSP. Their show in Reading. I showed up with open arms and said hi to everybody. I was talking to you, man, after your match, because I watched the whole show and I watched your match, and you came up to me and were like, "Hey, man," you're like, "Hey, no bullshit. Like, what'd you think of my match?" And I was like, "Well, you want me to tell you the truth, right?" And so I told you what I thought, and you were just like, cool, yeah, you know, and there was no attitude, man. There was nothing like, well, who's this guy giving me, you know, critique or whatever, you know, nobody, you know, you were just like, yeah, man, thank you, you know, and I really, I saw that, man, and then meeting you at the first PCW show you were at, and just, ever since then, man, you've been on a roll, and you're getting a lot more bookings now. There's a lot of people that are paying attention to what you're doing, and I think you're one of the more intimidating guys that you put on a show. I mean, people you make them look at you, you know, which is big. I mean, what are some of your goals you have here moving forward, as far as in the wrestling business? I mean, where do you see yourself doing here in the next couple years?
Well, I mean, my goal is to travel. You know, a lot of people say, you know, don't go to these little feds and don't get the road experience and all that kind of shit. I enjoy that stuff, you know what I mean? And definitely, make money doing this because, I'm constantly stalking Ben Franklin's. You know what I mean? I'm constantly, dude. I'm looking through that nigga's window now. You know what I mean? And but yeah, definitely, make money doing this and have fun. I enjoy this shit way too much to stop. And I think that's been my my highlights and my downfall. Because I got kids and all that kind of shit and other obligations. But it's just like at the end of the day, it's like wrestling.
Yeah, it's addicting, man. I'll tell you right now, like I got in the ring today for the first time in like 9 months, bumping around, moving around, and it's crazy how you want to maybe try something else and you have other things in your life going on, but I mean, this is always here. This is something that we love and something that I always look at wrestling like, it's always there for me, whether it's watching it or doing it. I mean, there's girls that cheat on you or they'll screw you over or take your stuff, but it's like wrestling's always there. It's never really screwed me over. I've really kind of only screwed over myself in the long run. So yeah, man. So I want to reflect on a few PCW matches you've had here. Some of my ones that stuck out.
Oh, real quick. I want to go back to that Reading show. I thought it was funny as hell when everybody was like, because I didn't know you as Mitch Valentine. I just knew you as Mitch. And that one time that I met you.
Yeah, we met one time.
Yeah. And everybody was like, you were the Lord Voldemort of that day, man. They're like, oh shit, don't let Mitch in. Oh damn, hey, if Mitch shows up, I'm gonna beat his ass. Or hey, blah blah blah, Mitch. And I'm like, who the fuck is Mitch? Right? And then you showed up, and that's why I went up to you to talk to you. I had no idea that they were talking about you, and they didn't want you in the building. And next thing I know, I'm looking around at all the chairs, and they got PCW flyers on them. I was like, this motherfucker got him.
Well, to be honest, man, I'll shoot about this real quick. I mean, I really don't have any heat towards anybody, really. I really don't. There's maybe one or two guys, if I really thought hard, that I'd say, I really don't like that guy for this reason, and I would tell that to him. But for that whole day, I mean, was just, what was going on was, FSP was they booked a show in Reading through some work farm students, and they had a bunch of the work farm students on the show. And I just felt it was my kind of obligation. I had nothing going on. I said, I need to show up and make sure that that these students that I'm helping train are putting together a professional match. They're having a good showing of themselves, and for whatever reason, there was, I guess, everyone, whoever it was, whoever it was, everyone, they were all, they were. I guess there was a lot of things said before I showed up, and then as soon as I walked through the door, nothing but smiles and handshakes.
Yeah, I saw all that too.
So, but yeah, man, no, that was fun. It's always fun going on the road and traveling, like you said. Before we talk about some of these PCW matches, I wanted to bring up, what were some of your more memorable, more fun experiences you've had traveling and performing?
Oh, I mean, I try to make every road trip fun and take away memories, but a lot of those can't be talked about, or they can, but they're not going to be, and but definitely, just the camaraderie that I have with the people that I roll with, Tony, Amish Johnson, Victor Sterling, Chemo, Zack, and just a lot of fun, good times. And I only surround myself with positive people. I don't get into a car with a whole bunch of people that are going to talk shit about somebody and sit there and say, oh yeah, well, fuck this guy, he's a jabron and blah blah blah, this guy's a mark and blah blah. It's like, get the fuck out of my car. I've never had that, but it's like there's a lot of people out there that do that, and like you said, you don't have any heat with nobody, and I really don't either. There's certain people that I don't get along with, and it is what it is. Nothing's ever going to come about it. We're not going to fight. I'm not going to, meet you at high noon and settle this the old school way. And, but it's wrestling, dude. Get the fuck over yourselves.
Yeah, we're all just trying to have some fun in our tights and, just
right.
do what we love, man. That's really all it is. It's pretty ridiculous. But, no, man.
I'm the sexiest show in spandex.
No doubt. But, yeah, we want to keep it positive, man, because that's the thing, the whole PMA thing. It's like, no, you want to stay focused and stay positive about what you're doing because that's really the only thing you can do. We see horrible shit happen in this world every day, but what can you do?
Especially recently.
Yeah, it's been rough. But so, all right, man. So the first big match I remember you having, that really stood out was you and Atticus Lynch in a street fight. And it was about a year ago. And I'll tell you what, man, it was MPT versus Chico Lopez. I wrestled Dylan Drake, but I'll go on record saying I thought you and Atticus Lynch stole the show that night, man. You guys went all over the building. I mean, how did you like working with Atticus Lynch?
It was awesome because at the time, he was still green in the business, and he was just so willing to do something, and he wanted that little nudge to get pushed a little bit farther in his career. And then at that time, I was looking to do the same thing here in PCW, and they gave us the option to do a street fight, and I was like, well, me with my backyard, wrestling days,
And he's got that too.
Yeah. And so we're kind of like, all right, well, let's go out there and fuck each other up. and I want you at that point to shine. I want you to have that spot to where you're like not just another caveman.
Yeah. No, I gotta say real quick. So the caveman gimmick, man, I came up with that. No, I'll tell you, I loved it. I came up with it. I said because he came to practice with all this fur and these furry boots, and I go, and with his hair and everything the way he looks, I go, dude, you're the caveman. I said it's gonna be money. You're not gonna talk. You're just gonna rah rah rah, and you're gonna be the caveman. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking merchandise. I know he got to do the character a couple times. Me and him actually worked a kind of a little short program doing that character, and we went out and he was actually in a cave. And we filmed something, and it was so much fun, but he hated it. Like, he did not want to do it, and the only reason he did it probably is because I just talked him into it, and it got him out there.
That's exactly why he did it, was because you talked him into it.
Well, it got him out there. It was his first character, but then, I guess, him and Zack talked, and they came up with the Atticus Lynch character. And
which is awesome, because he can talk, and, I thought for the longest time it was a crime because y'all weren't letting him talk. And the guy could cut a promo like a motherfucker, and that's also what really built up our feud, was his talking, his storytelling. And I would look at YouTube every day just to see if they posted a new fucking promo by him, because I was so entertained by it. And I know you're big on entertainment in this game. And
I think promos are more important than matches sometimes, because if you talk someone in and you get them hooked on just what you're saying and the way you're presenting it, then you're gonna want to buy a ticket and watch it.
Right.
But Atticus is good at promos, man. He really came into his own. I think you both actually came into your own through that program in that last street fight match, because it made you a total monster that just destroyed a guy, and it made Atticus Lynch, well, hey, this is a pretty tough little bastard. Yeah. I mean, he'll run his mouth and he backs it up. I mean, he's pretty damn tough.
Real quick, I don't want to cut you off, but the moment in that match that he had that light shined on him was when, after I had beat the shit out of him. I mean, I used a car, what was it, hood or door?
Car door.
I used a car door on him. You know what I mean? I busted him open. He's leaking all over the place, I threw him through the railing. I fucking slammed him on that hardwood floor, and I put him through the ringer. And after all that, we weren't at the end of the match yet, but he stood up, looked me dead in the eye, beat on his chest and say, "Fuck you, Synn, come on."
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you just struck gold right there, bro.
Yeah, like I said, man, I thought it stole the show. I mean, you guys it was a mid-card angle. Yeah. Like I said, it was Dylan Drake, myself, Zack, and Chico doing but you guys stole the show, man. I was totally entertained by that match. It was great. The big powerbomb through the table at the end, and then going forward. I mean, let's talk about Off the Chain 2015, and it was the night I won the belt. But what was really what everyone was talking about again was you and Paul Isadora, man. Why don't you take us through that match?
The build-up for that match was really good. They wanted to do, the whole monster versus giant angle, which was awesome. it's funny because watching that video, you realize how short I am compared to him. So I'm like, I'm not really a monster when I'm looking up at this motherfucker. But, Paul's a really good dude, and he was awesome to work with, and, what happened in the match is one of those things that you can't control sometimes. And, I felt bad for him, and I still do, but it didn't hurt his career at all.
No, let me just say real quick, Paul Isadora is the man. He's the first guy I ever had a singles match with. I've learned so much from him over the years. He's so
another one I learned
so
from.
intelligent. Yeah, I mean, he's super intelligent and super nice guy. And the build-up for that was incredible because he had never gotten pinned in PCW, and neither had you. Yeah. And I mean, it was a long build-up. I mean, that's how it's done in PCW. It's long build-up storylines, which is why I love it. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it was what it was. It was kind of a little shitty.
Accidents happen,
But no, it was funny because I just want to say my side of the story, what I saw, because I was getting ready to go out there for the main event for the title, and I'm just like, Paul comes through the curtain and he's got white shorts on and he's got them pulled down to his ankle and he's looking around and he goes, "I can't believe I shit myself." Yeah. And I was just like, wow, I just couldn't believe it. And it was, again, though, man, something that stood out and something that made you, it made you. It was an accident. Yeah. No pun intended. It was an accident, but it made you. It was like Synn is such a badass that he actually knocks the shit out of somebody.
Well, no disrespect to Paul, and I never wanted to spin that angle. Like I said, it happens. It's the curse of the white shorts.
Yes.
Somebody else here had white shorts on for the first time and shit themselves, but it was one of those things that it's just the anything can happen aura that is professional wrestling, and I wasn't expecting that to happen, and I'm sure neither was he, but it does happen.
It's happened to the best of them, man. It's happened to Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's happened to John Cena. I remember Sonny telling me that it happened to Chris Candido and Al Snow and all these guys. Yeah.
Sonny.
So, yeah, we've given her a ring here in this ring. What you got for me?
Let's talk about Mitch.
You get one question. What do you got?
One question. You know what? I think the people at BTW who, when they found out about you and Sonny, they just kept blowing me up because they knew I knew you. They knew we hung out, and they just kept asking me, "Is this a shoot or is this a work?" So that's the question. Was it a shoot or was it a work?
Oh man, that's the best you got for me. I mean, no props to BTW.
Well, I honestly don't give a fuck.
Well, no, I mean, without BTW, it probably wouldn't have happened, man, because what happened was Donovan Troy and myself, we were kind of on a WrestleMania road trip weekend. We worked in Reno the night before. Mm-hmm. Then Saturday was the big WrestleCon, and Kirk White and BTW was putting that on, and Donovan was working it, and thankfully and graciously, I was able to do security for Bret Hart, Ric Flair, and Lita that day. Cool. And, it just... I'm going to go probably into further detail on this actually in the future possibly, but it was a shoot.
It was a shoot?
Literally. There was shots. It was shooty. But yeah, no, it was a great experience, man, and it's a great experience always watching you do your thing, man. How about that transition?
Yeah,
smooth.
Let's segue back.
So no, because I do want to talk about that, man. Because that night, like I said, you had that program with Atticus, you had that program with Paul Isadora, and then I pretty much, I was gone after that. I left and I told everybody, I said, I'm vacating this championship. And, well, before that, actually, now that I think back, that Reading show, that last show that I worked, you worked Shawn Gunn, I believe.
Gunn, yeah.
You guys actually had a really great match again, man. You guys, take me through that match.
Well, that's another one. Shawn's the type of person that's, down for anything as far as, the type of match you want to do, sometimes we as bigger guys do too much, and that that's where I fucked up in the match, and I blew out my knee, and that was bad times. But yeah, he's another one that I can just go in there and we can go in there and not talk about the match. Let's go in and let's do our thing and get down.
Yeah, Shawn's tough, man. Tough as hell and strong, man.
Oh, super strong, dude.
Like really strong, really. I haven't had a chance to really work with him too much. A little training here and there, but yeah, no, that was a good match, man. I remember the crowd was hot for that one, and then of course the after party, and then of course the next morning. the next morning.
But that kick though.
But no, the next morning it was everyone's taking off, and I just look at you, and we're both pretty kind of hungover and beat up, and I just go, hey bro, can I just ride with you?
Yeah.
Let's go. Or I go, let's just go to Denny's.
Yeah, let's go eat. Let's go get some breakfast.
And we roll into Denny's, and JJ King's mom was there, and
Yes.
she's like,
shout out to JJ King.
shout out to her, man. She hooked us up with some Tylenol or whatever, and that really helped us out because we were both in pain. Your knee and my shoulder, we were jacked up, and we hit the road, man. And I can't thank you enough. You've always been that kind of guy that kind of bails me out the next morning. You know what I mean? You're like, picks up the Mitch scraps and helps me out, and you've always just been awesome, dude. And like I said, when I vacated that title, I put the belt on your damn shoulder in the locker room, and you said, no, I don't touch things that aren't my property. I thought that either you or Chico Lopez should have won that title in January. Those were the two guys that I said should be the next champion, and it didn't happen that way. But what's been going on these last 6 months? I know that I was here a couple months ago. I watched you in primetime have a great match. But I mean, what's been your feelings of PCW? I mean, this year, 2016, it's probably, I think it's been your year.
Well, I mean, you know, obviously I'm not the champion, you know, and you know, I don't do things a certain way, you know. If you say they should have put the belt on me or Chico, I mean that's one opinion, and you know, I'm sure other people have different opinions, but you know, Will won the title at Last Man Standing. Props to him. He's defended the title every match or every show since, including Work Farm Wars, and you know, and now he has his title defense coming up Saturday. And but definitely, you know, a lot of people say, yeah, it's my year, but honestly, you know, he's the champ. It's his year.
It really has been, man. I mean, I'll give credit where credit is due. I mean, Will Roberts has put in recently a lot of work. I mean, traveling all over with Rick and doing a lot of stuff. And I mean, like I said, man, in my opinion, I feel like you should be the guy. But that's just me being honest here. I can't help it. And I really, I think this Saturday, Pandemonium, I think this is going to be your night. I don't know. Nobody's told me nothing. I don't know what's going on. Things always change in PCW last minute, so you really never know what's going to happen. But, man, I think this is going to be your night. I mean, are you pumped? I mean, like I said, this is your first main event at the Municipal Auditorium. And to me, man, this Municipal Auditorium, I mean, it goes back 100 years in wrestling history. I mean, back in the day, I mean, I can't even describe to you how important and how special the Municipal Auditorium is to me. But how is it to you?
Oh, I'm actually glad you asked me that question. I remember when I first came to PCW, and they were talking about doing shows at a Municipal Auditorium. And I remember going back to the NWA days, they used to do shows in Municipal Auditoriums.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ric Flair's, the Harley Races, they always talk about doing shows at Municipal Auditoriums. And then I remember Zack telling me, yeah, you know, we're going to do this show at the Oroville Municipal Auditorium. I'm like, I get to work in a Municipal Auditorium? Oh, yeah. Sign me the fuck up. And, you know, it's a big deal. You know, there's so much history going in that building, too. You know, and it just feels weird wrestling anywhere else for PCW. Other than, you know, here at the Work Farm or at the Municipal Auditorium. You know, that's really where PCW belongs.
Hey, going back, because you just kind of reminded me, you wrestled Chico Lopez back at the Gridley Fairgrounds, right? How was that?
It is what it is, you know. He talked a lot of shit before the match, you know, leading up to the match. And he said he was going to make me his bitch. And my answer to that, you know, on a shoot, that's why I never cut a promo on it, was, you know, he's like, I'm going to make you my bitch. He said that in a promo. And I was like, how? What do you have that can make me your bitch, dude? And, you know, we went and did the match, and, you know, it was, you know, I got some flack for how I worked the match, and it's my style versus his style, you know, and my style is a smash mouth style. That's how I do things. And, you know, I always ask my opponent, and it's like, we're going to find out if I'm good enough to beat you, and are you tough enough to beat me? You know, and on that night, he let his pride take control of him, you know, and rather than getting the win. And what the important thing wasn't beating me. The important thing was getting the number one contendership for the heavyweight title, which I now have.
which you got, and then somehow Primetime weaseled his way in there with Kimmy. I really love the angle that is going on with Zack and Kimmy, and with yourself as the monster. We got the veteran, you got the monster, and you got the young champion, and it's been a great build-up, man. Like I said, just been watching on the YouTube channel. I showed up here back in May, and I watched you and Zack have that great match, and I'm excited. I'm going to do my best to be there live this Saturday, Pandemonium, Orville Municipal Auditorium. Tickets are still they're still available, man. Get them at pcw-wrestling.com. I mean, contact the local representative. I mean, one more push here, Synn. What's going to happen on Saturday, bro?
I'm going to tell you, win, lose, or draw, you're going to see the best Synn you've ever seen in your life. I'm going to show PCW fans a side of me that they've never seen, and, it's going to be a show, and somebody's going to get their ass kicked. Or all of us, I expect all of us to get our asses kicked. This is one of the most prestigious titles in NorCal, and I'm going to fight for it, and you better be willing to fight me for it.
Can't wait to see it, bro.
Stop me if you can.
I can't wait to see the match, man. I'm excited for it, Synn. I mean, where can people find more out about Synn on the social media? I
got a Facebook like page, SYNN. I'm on Twitter. At Big Synn. I'm on Instagram, the Knightmare _Synn. Spell Nightmare with a K, else you won't find me. I found out that the hard way. It'll direct you to like Pornhub and some webcams. That is my actual page. I just fuck with people like that. But no, I'm just kidding. And I'm on Snapchat, but I'm not really a selfie taker. You know what I mean? I'm pretty old school with that. I got on Snapchat just to see what it was about, and I just haven't deleted it yet. But you can find me on there. I don't even know my handle on that one, but look for me, goddammit. I'm worth it.
Synn, SYNN. He is the man. Thank you very much for coming on, Mitch, please, Synn.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm glad to see what you've been doing, and I'm glad you're doing good. And this podcast seems like a really positive thing for you in your life, and I'm actually happy for you.
But that kick, though. The Knightmare Synn, just telling it like it is. Much love to Big Synn once again for coming on the show. And right now I'm at pcw-wrestling.com. I'm taking a look here at what they have going on. They've got a lot going on here on this website, but I want to talk about Pandemonium this Saturday at the Orville Municipal Auditorium. It looking to be a really good show, really packed up show here. I'm go through these matches here, kind of offer some opinions. We'll go ahead and start here with Kimmy and Desi De Rada. Don't know too much about Desi De Rada. I've known Kimmy since she started training. I think this will be a pretty damn good match. I know Desi had won the Living the Dream contest, and now she's kind of mixing it up with Kimmy. I really enjoyed the video package PCW threw together promoting this match. I thought that was a really well-produced and well-put-together video. I'm guessing it was done by Mike Shupe, but I'm just guessing. I don't know. But again, yeah, this Kimmy's one of my favorites over the years to watch. I mean, she's really grown as a performer. She's still so young, and I can see that, and I really love what she's doing with Primetime as now being like a bad bitch kind of character. She's doing a great job with it, and this should be a good match. I'm going to go ahead and pick Kimmy. I think Kimmy needs a win. I think it's been a while since Kimmy's been in a big singles match in PCW. I think you got to go ahead and give Kimmy some momentum, let her roll with it. All right, next match we got here, Classic Connection defending the PCW Tag Team Championships against Chico, Lopez, and Frost. Again, this should be a good match. The Classic Connection, I've said it before, I'll say it again, one of the best tag teams on the planet. And they know how to get it done. 3-time, I think, PCW Tag Team Champions. They've done it all, and they do it very well, especially at that municipal auditorium. It just goes with their gimmick, you know. I see them retaining Chico and Frost. I mean, they're well-known singles guys. I kind of see someone getting into it. I see these guys getting into it, and I see Classic Connection retaining. But we shall see. All right, then we got Boyce LeGrande versus Karl Fredricks. Big fan of Boyce LeGrande. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time, and one of the most respected guys in NorCal wrestling, no doubt. Karl Fredricks is a guy I think I've seen him wrestle once. Very good-looking guy, great body from the Reno Wrestle Factory. I'm sure he's been doing some great things. I've been seeing a few things here and there, so this should be a really good match. I say you have Karl roll on through. Let's see. I mean, let's see what this kid has. I'll pick him for the win. And then we have Adam Thornstowe, the Rock Legend Scum, and the War Pig Jody Kristofferson. Again, two of the very best that I've ever seen. Jody's a guy that, man, we go way back. Me and him setting up the PCW ring basically by ourselves back in the day. And Jody's just one of the greatest guys I've ever met. So I got to pick Jody. I got to pick Jody for the win on that one. Again, though, I mean, Adam Thornstowe is one of the greatest wrestlers, I mean, on the planet. I mean, no doubt. The guy has some serious talent. So that should be a great match. And then Rick Luxury defending the PCW Inter California Championship against JJ King. This has been pretty interesting stuff I've been seeing with this. Once again, a great video package to promote this was put together. I really enjoyed that. I mean, JJ King's been doing some really risky, some really controversial promos. On Rick, stalking him, stalking his children, just being a total creep. And it's been actually very good. It's been very good. It's been very well done. It's, like I said, it's a little controversial and risky, I'd say, because on one of the promos, JJ's got that picture of Rick over his, we'll say his kingdom. And, it's just, a little rough if a 10-year-old's watching that. But, it is what it is. It's a little hard to hear some of the stuff, too, that JJ's been saying. I don't know if that's production, but overall, very well done here. Very different, and I do see Rick Luxury retaining. He's had that belt for a year. I see him keeping that role, really adding some serious credibility to that Inter California Championship, because that Inter California Championship, before Rick won it, it was passed around quite a bit. So I think Rick has really established that belt, and I think he will continue to do that. But you never know. JJ King might pull out a win. He might walk out with that title. You just have to be there live and find out. All right, then here we go. Main event. Triple threat match. You've got the big monster Synn, who we just heard from. You've got the veteran Zack Primetime Reed, and he's also got Kimmy on his side too. And then you got the young champion, Will Roberts, three-way for the belt. Doesn't matter. You don't have to pin. The champion does not have to get pinned to lose that championship. So this could go either way. I mean, any which way but loose, you could say. I mean, I'd like to see Synn get the championship. I mean, he's a monster. No one can beat him, and he's been like that for going on 2 years. But Will Roberts, holding on to that belt is something that could happen. I mean, he's gone through all challengers. He's been defending that title and making a name for himself. So he could continue to hold the belt, or you got Primetime. He's a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15-time PCW champion. I mean, he's got the experience and everything else going for him. So. You can see Primetime walking away. If I had to pick a winner, again, not to sound biased, but I got to go with my guest. I got to go with the man. I got to go with the Knightmare Synn as the new champion. But again, you guys are just going to have to be there live. I am 95.6% sure that I will be there live to enjoy this spectacle that is PCW Pandemonium. All right, guys, we're going to end the show with that, and we're going to kick it over to the Starvin' Artist with his newest track that you can find on SoundCloud. It's called Evolution.
Freedom sounds. Yeah. I feel good. Wake up in the morning, and I'm ready to rise. It's me, there's no disguise. I'm as free as the sky. Got my hair flowing, illusion. That's right, this is how I flow. Take control, give it your soul. This is all that I know. from the small town, Chico. What's up? Representing my block, represent Broadway. It don't stop, Broadway, cause I'm in motion. I give the track, the verse with the potion. And now you know when this life I'm living in is beautiful, evolution, no pollution. I got them going, I'm flowing like the ocean. Evolution. When I wake up and I rise. Evolution. Open my eyes. Evolution. When I wake up and I rise. Evolution. Open my eyes. I've got music running through my veins. Evolution. As I continue to flow. As sometimes I'm a hot mess, but I'm so well dressed and I'm coming with no stress. That's right. Yes, cause I give it my best. On this planet, Mother Earth, I'm feeling I'm blessed. Yeah. Do pray Jahi, lyrically that flow. Now can you copy? Come on. We on a mission to take it to where it's never been. Once again, I'm doing it. Now tell me what's up. Hello. Just holla at your boy. I'm keeping it true. The real McCoy. Cause you know I got it right on time. Time for evolution and to shine. Winds blowing in my direction. Sun shining in my eyes. Living in the skies. Nice and mellow, true to myself. Evolution. Yeah. Winds blowing in my direction. Sun shining in my eyes. Living in the skies, nice and mellow. Cool to myself, true to myself. Evolution. When I wake up and I rise.